Hi Libra, this is Mimi with Divination by Mimi. Welcome to your January 1st through the 15th of 2018. Wow, can't believe I'm saying that. Last year went fast, didn't it? Um, and your tarot, this is your tarot reading for that time frame. So it says January 1st through the 15th, 2018. With a little bit of astrology and oracle if necessary, although the messages have been pretty straightforward. So Libra, just to recap, you are a cardinal air sign, and you are the scale, so you're very much about balance. You rule the 7th house, and as I said, you're cardinal. So cardinal being an initiator, someone who takes the initiative to do something, to start something, to begin something. You tend to be folks that are in cardinal signs. You have some friends in Cancer, Aries, and Capricorn, also cardinal signs. They tend to be the mavericks, the pioneers when it comes to things. And this is the spirit that you embrace as well. Your air, which tends to make you about intellect. And as I said, you rule the 7th house. The 7th house is about relating to the other. So where in your direct opposite, 180 degrees across the natal chart or across the sky from Aries. So you have very different views of the world. The first house, Aries rulership, is I am. It's about the assertion of the individual will. I'm here, I'm born, hello, it's all about me. I'm not having a go at Aries, but that is the energy of the first house. The 7th house is about not me, but you, the other. So Libra gets this reputation of being the diplomat, and rightly so. You consider all things. You consider all parties, their feelings, and you like to make things comfortable. I'm not saying you don't like confrontation. That's not necessarily what I'm saying, but you like everyone to be heard. Again, justice or balance, the scales. You like all parties to be considered, all thoughts to be considered. And there is a down octave to that. It's sometimes difficult for you to make up your mind to start something, but that's every sign's got its own downside. But for the most part, you are the diplomat. You bring peace to things, and that's a lovely attribute to have. Ruled by Venus. Venus, the goddess of love, but not only the goddess of love and of course beauty, but also the goddess of value, stuff, things, and their value. So not just like money, 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 but like the value of money, not only in a financial ideology, but also in a personal ideology. What does it mean to have money to you? What does success mean to you? Not just money, but things like jewelry or family heirlooms or friendships. What do you value? How do you prioritize your values in your life? And that's what Venus is about. Okay. And as again, 7th house rulership, Libra, you would likely be putting relationships up there and other people up there as important to you. Okay, let's get into some aspects that are occurring the first 15 or 2 weeks of the month of January. On the 1st, we have a full super wolf moon in the 4th house, sign of Cancer at 11 degrees. 11 is relevant in that it's been popping up a lot in the natal chart for large or impactful aspects, astrological aspects. 11 is in numerology is the master number of service. Now, it doesn't mean, you've made a decision, you'll make a decision on the 1st of January that I'm going to be like Mother Teresa and go help a colony of lepers. It's more like, that's great if you do, wow, kudos to you. But it's more along the lines of you initiating something that, regardless of the intent, actually helps other people. An example, you're in math class and everybody's eyes are crossing at the quadratic equation on the chalkboard. This is bringing back horrifying memories of math class. But for most right brain thinkers out there, you understand what I'm saying. But you're the only one in the class, especially being a cardinal sign, that would raise their hand and ask the question that probably everyone else in the class wants to know. But you ask it, you get your answer, but everyone else benefits from that question that you asked. That's what I'm talking about, it being at the number 11, the 11 degrees number of service. That's the type of service that happens. It's kind of a indirect service to others. Okay, hope that made sense. What else? Oh, on that day, the 1st of January, I believe it's Monday, that's New Year's Day. It is also a beautiful water trine that occurs. So there is Mars is involved in one, of course the moon, Venus is involved in one, and Neptune. And basically what this boils down to is harmonious relationships, especially the first week, and particularly on the 6th with Neptune, major downloads. So if you're not necessarily one that follows, you know, the airy-fairy ideology of the esoteric, the collective unconscious, the Akashic records, all the stuff that I'm talking about right now, if that's not something that really settles well with you, think of it in terms of intuition. If you follow Jung at all, there's a collective unconscious that throughout time, sentient life forms have shared certain archetypes. It's I mean, you can see it. There are certain archetypes from one end of the planet. There's no end of the planet, but one part of the planet to another part of the planet. You know, why are there heroes? Why are there anti-heroes? Why are there she-devils? Why are there goddesses of love? Why are there virgin mothers? Why are there dark goddesses? Things like that. Why do we see these archetypes repeated over and over and over again? That is why these downloads from the collective unconscious mean something. So when I say downloads, that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. Messages through archetypes, because these archetypes, they're just like, you know, humans are simple. We like fairy tales. Fairy tales tell us who we are and why we're here and why we're evolving, because we're experiencing the hologram of life that we're creating at the same time. That makes sense. You're probably like, take your medicine, honey. So yeah, so this whole first week of January, but in particular as it relates to, an intuitive spiritual download time frame, the 6th, Saturday the 6th, very, very heightened time for that. Also, like I said, the whole week is kind of you're going to enjoy a harmonious and loving energy. So this is a very loving energy that this full moon brings in. Now, this is the month with 2 full moons, 2 super full moons. This first one, as I said, is in Cancer. The second one's on the 31st of January. It's in Leo. It is a full super blue moon, and that one's got an eclipse. So January is a busy month. The new moon that occurs in there quietly is in Capricorn on the 17th. The other aspect of import would be on the 2nd of January, which is Uranus going direct. Uranus has been in retrograde for a good time, and Uranus is the energy of rebelliousness, not for the sake of rebelliousness, but for the sake of change. Uranus is the agent of change, unpredictably, sometimes erratically, sometimes, whoa, where did that come from? Sometimes natural disasters, sometimes revolutions, like upheavals. That's the nature. But if he's in retrograde and in Aries, he's in a fiery constellation of assertion of the will, right? That's the first house. That's Aries' house. But in retrograde, how frustrating is that? So even with that retrograde, we've seen a lot of evidence of revolutionary activity and activism on the world stage in the news. Well, on the 2nd, you're going to see that spike, because once Uranus is direct, all holds barred. Everything's off. He's free to go. So watch the news, see what happens from the 2nd forward. We've got some interesting things occurring this year. It's also eventually going to make its way, Uranus is going to make its way into Taurus, the 2nd house, which is going to be about money. So right around May into the summer and beyond, watch what happens to our financial institutions. It should be interesting. All right, that's it for astrology. Let's get into your reading. I'm using the Universal Rider-Waite-Smith deck. This is based on the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. It's just a recoloration, more intense colors and volume added to the drawings. Originally done by Pamela Coleman Smith. I think I can't remember her first name, but a gal, Ms. Hanson Roberts, who has her own deck, lent her hand, her artistic hand, to this Universal Rider-Waite-Smith deck endeavor. This is a 4-card pull, and it's based on something in your life right now. So either a problem or a situation. Maybe it's not a problem. Maybe you just feel unmotivated or unfocused in life. It's about that situation or that feeling that you're sitting in right now. And the idea is to put some clarity on it. So the first card of the 4-card spread is going to be about what you're sitting in right now. The second part of it is going to be about the positive aspects of what you're sitting in, both karmically and personally. Karmically, obviously, karma is personal, but on a large scale, macrocosmic scale versus a microcosmic scale. Then the negative aspect of this situation that you're in, and then some overall advice. Okay? So, what does Libra, the diplomat, the scales, cardinal heir, ruler of the 7th house, what does Libra need to know for January 1st through the 15th, 2018? Libra, thank you. Right now you're thinking about the past. It's funny, your total opposite sign, Aries, was doing the same thing. You're thinking about, you're reminiscing about your past, and you're doing it, it looks as though, to me, I'll pull the rest of the cards, but it looks as though you're not looking at it realistically, maybe on the low octave. Positive aspect is that you're working towards something. 8 of Pentacles, or coins, that's the manifested world. So the positive aspect of this apparently has you working towards something, maybe something on yourself, so that you react differently in this previous relationship, or a situation you're reminiscing. That doesn't necessarily have to be a person. It could be something that, a project or something, but you're thinking about the past, and the tendency is to not be looking at it realistically. Positive aspect is you're doing work on yourself. The negative aspect is the Hanged Man. Negative aspect with the Hanged Man I would equate with, well, 2 things. One, there's a waiting, a gestation period in this process. So the work that you're doing, right, is worthwhile, okay? But there is a gestation period, and this calls you to, I'll get to the overall advice in a second here, but this tends to call you to look at things from a different perspective. He's hanging upside down. You're like, what the fuck's the point of hanging upside down? It is, you know, kind of like Odin doing that to write out the runes. It is changing your, like taking drugs. I mean, I'm not saying that everyone should do it, but hallucinogens do have their purpose. If you're able, if it's not something you're allergic to, as in you know, it causes addictions and things like that. That's what I mean by changing your perspective. Now, I'm not saying go out and do some ayahuasca. What I'm saying is look at the past in a different way, okay? And the more that you work kind of fruitlessly because you're looking at things incorrectly in the past, the more you're going to kind of wait. Overall advice, and you had an extra card as well. Oh, interesting. Okay, so the overall advice is the Aquarian card in reverse. This is the King of Swords. Swords, that's your energy, air, logic, communication. King of Swords on the low octave is, well, he's a couple of things. He can be cold and cutting, not because he's intending malice, like he's got nefarious intentions, more along the lines of, he has it's an Aquarian energy. Aquarian energy has good aspects and bad aspects, and one of them is complete left brain thinking. That this is one of the low octaves of Aquarian energy. We are talking about Aquarian on the low octave. This would be, again, not being cutting and cold and cruel because you intend to cause harm, but more because you're so detached from the emotional connection with the person, so, or project. But I don't think it's a person we're talking about here. I think it's a project, because the other card that came out at the same time as the Aquarian card, the low octave Aquarian card, was the 3 of Pentacles or coins, which is about work and cooperation with other people toward a project. So as you are looking in the past, okay, from your own perspective, and diligently working away to change that or to make it better, to not repeat the same mistakes in this project again, or in this, if this is not a project, usually it is with Pentacles, but if it's not a project or a work situation, it is a group relationship, maybe family, maybe a group of friends. You're working diligently to not do what's been done in the past. The negative thing with this is because you're looking at it possibly, you're being asked to, okay, with the Hanged Man, you're being asked to, as you're reminiscing, stop working, okay, for a second, and reconsider it from another angle. Look at it from another angle. The Aquarian on the low octave, I have a feeling that you're feeling dismissive of the people involved, almost as if to say either they don't have the intellectual capacity or they don't have the passion that you have toward whatever this project was. And I think the other advice card here, being the Three of Coins in the upright, is about you possibly communicating. Now, I'm not saying you're going to go in there and tell them how you feel about what happened in the past, because right now you're working away diligently from one perspective, and I think that perspective that you're viewing or reminiscing about the past on here is more of, and this is very similar to Aries reading, is more of a, oh, it's all them. You know, they were lazy, or they were not smart enough, obviously. It was obviously beyond their capabilities to comprehend the concepts that we're coming up with here. Instead of going with that, I think you're being asked here to reconnect with those parties involved with a new mind frame. Almost act as if you're a party that, as if you're someone, a stranger to this situation. Okay? And reapproach those folks about that project that failed. Even if it's not a project, the relationship or the breakdown of the friendships or the family dynamic. But whatever this dynamic is that you're reminiscing about, again, feels like a project. As if you were a stranger, reconnect with those that were involved, the people, the parties that were involved in this group project, as if you were a stranger. I just said that. And really change your perspective on what went down. As smart as and as diplomatic and as compassionate as Libra is, you know, an uncanny ability to feel for the other, to consider the other. You're still not the other. So as much as you feel like you may know what was going on, you may not. You don't, likely, because you're not living in their skin. You're not living in their existence with their perspective and their life. So you might have been operating and trying to address the issues from that perspective, kind of blindly thinking you kind of had them figured out. You may not have them figured out. So change your perspective, go in as if you never knew them, and start asking questions. What do you think happened? Why did that not work out? You know, I had this going on. What did you have going on at the time of this? And that really pulled me away. What, you know, were you going through anything? Oh yeah, you were going through that divorce. I forgot about that. It might explain a lot of things, and it might show you, and this is kind of something I'm getting here, is that it wasn't the failure that you think it was. Okay? Make sure you're not imposing a negative ideology on the progress or the finished product of the original project. Again, this is very specific, obviously, so if it didn't resonate with you, my apologies. I hope it did help someone. If you have questions on the reading or comments, leave them in the comment section below. If you'd like a personal reading, please feel free to email me at mememes@hotmail.com. That email address is in the description box below the video, or you can access my WordPress website. Information's there as well. We can set up a time and do a reading specific to your needs and your questions and your situations in life. So yeah, I think that pretty much sums it up. I don't think it requires clarification. I understood it. That doesn't mean it's right that you got it. So if you have questions, please let me know if it's not clear. Just a couple of quick notes here. Thank you everyone who has been subscribing or sharing the video with the other people that might find them helpful. It's a general reading, so if it doesn't fit with you, it might actually fit with someone else. So, you know, think about sharing it, because with all these astrological activities occurring in the sky, particularly in January, the whole month of January, Every little bit of insight can help. It might help someone. So think about sharing it. But for those that have made the decision to join our little community, thank you so much. We are growing bit by bit. Those who have booked reading with me this past month, thank you so much for entrusting me with your life and letting me be part of your to help me. Thank you for inviting me in to co-create your life with you and help you through milestones and situations in life. It really means a lot to me. I think that's it. So otherwise, if I don't see you for personal reading, I will see you for your second half of the month's astrological reading, Libra, or the lunations. They're also going to be coming up as well, second half of the month. Other than that, I will see you then. Take care, and just change your perspective. You know, look at it as if it's brand new eyes. Okay, take care, Libra.